Hey, this is Tonya Pinkins, and it is Thursday, April 4th. And I want to talk about something that is on my mind, pleasure and power. And someone introduced me to an essay by a social justice activist, author, poet, Audrey Lorde. And so I want to start today by reading from an essay of hers, and you can actually go on YouTube and hear Audrey Lorde reading this essay herself. But I'm going to read it and I'm going to stop and give my interpretations as I'm reading it. And the title of this essay is The Uses of the Erotic. The Erotic as Power. So first I want to define power, because I think a lot of people think power is force or violence. But I like to think of power in many ways. One of those ways is the length of time between the thought, the putting it to words, and the actual manifestation of something in the world. Because I think we all are manifestors. We are co-creating this world. And the idea that there's power in our eroticism, in our innate eroticism, that can fuel this word, this manifestation, is of great interest to me. So when I came upon this essay, I've been talking to everybody about it, and I wanted to share it and my thoughts on it. First, beginning with an introduction of the late and brilliant Audrey Lorde. Audrey Lorde died November of 1992. She was the author of more than a dozen books of poetry, prose, the recipient of national and international awards, and a founding member of the Kitchen Table Women of Color Press. Her most recent poetry includes Undersongs, Chosen Poems, Old and New Revised, 1992, and Our Dead Behind Us, 1986. In Zami, A New Spelling of My Name, 1982. She writes her own biomythography, and her recent essays and speeches can be found in A Burst of Light, 1988, and Sister Outsider, 1984, which includes the chapter that I'm about to read to you here. Anti-ascetic in her demands that desire be made conscious and sensuality affirmed, Lorde responds in this 1978 essay to second-wave feminist debates over whether or not pornography creates and maintains sexual oppression. By disentangling women's eroticism from its cultural misuse and calling for a realization of the erotic as the most self-responsible source of women's power. Lorde, locating that power in women's acknowledgement of desire, blurs the boundaries between the erotic on the one hand and political, creative, and everyday activities on the other. And in issuing her call to all women, regardless of their sexual identity, Lorde erases erotic differences between straight, bisexual, and lesbian desire in order to promote such desire as a creative force for revolutionary change. I mean, just that alone, this idea that we as women have this erotic power. I am very, very interested in women's power and women's power to work together to build a better world, because we keep the world going. And so if there is a source deep within us that will give us more power to do it, I am all about sharing it with as many people as possible. So I won't finish the essay today because it's too deep, but I'm going to do a few paragraphs. It's only a 5-page essay, so we'll do a few paragraphs today. Beginning now. There are many kinds of power, used and unused, acknowledged or otherwise. The erotic is a resource within each of us that lies in a deeply female and spiritual plane, firmly rooted in the power of our unexpressed or unrecognized feeling. Just think of that. How much time and energy we spend denying ourselves, not seeing ourselves, ignoring our feelings, our thoughts, our instincts, because there's no place in the world for us to put them. We can't take them to our work. We can't take them to our spouses, our partners, our children. And so we have all this unrecognized power. And so sometimes just sitting and being with ourselves and breathing and feeling our body, feeling ourselves rooted straight down into our yoni is a way to begin to reconnect to our erotic power, which is also the seat of the sacred feminine, the source of our instinct injury, which we want to heal so that we can be more powerful in the world. In order to perpetuate itself, every oppression must corrupt or distort those various sources of power within the culture of the oppressed that can provide energy for change. For women, this has meant a suppression of the erotic as a considered source of power and information within our lives. So think about all the time and energy that businesses and government and politicians spend on trying to control women's bodies. There's something they know, and we know it too. When we connect to our own power and controlling and keeping us from paying attention to our power, that is a way they keep us suppressed, because we turn away from the very source within us that gives us our fuel to create the lives that we want. We have been taught to suspect this resource vilified, abused, and devalued within Western society. On the other hand, the superficially erotic has been encouraged as a sign of female inferiority. On the other hand, women have been made to suffer and to feel both contemptible and suspect for virtue of its existence. It is a short step from there to the false belief that only by the suppression of the erotic within our lives and consciousness can women be truly strong. But that strength is illusory, for it is fashioned within the context of male models of power. So we see all these young girls online, and they're showing off their bodies and they're puffing up their lips. And that is a superficial, external kind of power. And that is a power that is focused on what men want and pleasing them and getting their attention. This other power is in us, and it radiates up and fills us. And it is about our own source. And it is a magnetic power. It draws to us. It is not outward. It is not seeking. It is the power that a Marilyn Monroe was able to harness. She was able to tap into the inner sources of her erotic desire and to be sensuously within that, and to then magnetize what she would towards herself. I think that's enough for today. To begin thinking about that energy and attention that we put outward, which is a male model of what power and sensuality and eroticism is, and to take a little time today to feel your eyelids close together and feel your two lips of your mouth close together, and then tap all the way down and feel the lips of your vagina together. And breathe up and through all of that, and just connect into that rootedness of your own sensual, erotic power. And then tomorrow we'll come back and we'll talk about what that was like. Thanks.